This will be part two of my Earth Day, part two of three vlogs for 2025. I'm going to read from this page 80 and 81, and this was not long before he died. It's dated 1986, and there's wisdom in this that a systems thinker can understand because of the types of conversation. Now, I just heard somebody say, make the world great again. And again, that's a higher paradigm than, let's say, a nation, which is an anthropocentric concept that is temporary and that is disconnected from the natural world. But I would, if we understand what the Anthropocene means, which means our species is up to no good, is the only thing that ends with great again that I would say is the biosphere. And of course, it means the only technology that we should focus on, accelerate, really influence to make more use of is contraception. Nothing else will solve the problems. No form of technology, no slight change of lifestyle, because the change of lifestyles will never be motivated enough to do it. I mean, I see plenty of families with their kids dying, and that's not enough of a motivation to change their lifestyle or where they live or how they live. So, that's not even intense enough for most of the norm, the 99.99999, almost 100% of you. So what we need to do is really, we need to just lower our numbers. So make the biosphere great again, because the biosphere had become so great, especially since the last ice age, for land mammals, bigger life forms like us to live on, and to have the potential to develop what possibly the next step of evolution of life on this planet would have been, a global brain that there's no species that screwed it up except for us. So that's what we have to talk about. Okay. Well, said Trevise, in instant defensiveness, some of the rules are themselves trivial. Few worlds are very particular about passage in and out of their space in times of peace and commercial prosperity, such as we have now, thanks to the Foundation. Camperellon, for some reason, is out of step, probably because of an obscure matter of internal politics. Why should we suffer over that? That is beside the point. If we only obey those rules that we think are just and reasonable, then no rule will stand, for there is no rule that some will not think is unjust and unreasonable. And if we wish to push our own individual advantage as we see it, then we will always find reason to believe that some hampering rule is unjust and unreasonable. What starts, then, as a shrewd trick ends in anarchy and disaster, even for the shrewd trickster, since he too will not survive the collapse of society. Trevise said, society will not collapse that easily. You speak as Gaia, and Gaia cannot possibly understand the association of free individuals. Rules, established with reason and justice, can easily outlive their usefulness as circumstances change, yet can remain in force through inertia. It is then not only right, but useful to break those rules as a way of advertising the fact that they have become useless, or even actually harmful. I want to make a difference between the kinds of rules that exist. Okay, so some rules are outdated. They prevent the evolution of cultures, but some are also still required. They're basic requirements that are already innate in our brain, because as a species we evolved in the biosphere that is largely become this advanced because of the benefits of collaboration, synergy, symbiosis, cooperation, between life forms of all kingdoms, fauna and flora, and their environments. So there are things that are basic, right and wrong, that are really in our brains. You don't need to invent a religion to come up with a couple of them that you probably won't get right because the religion doesn't really incorporate the entire natural world as a living thing, right? So there's a difference between, let's say, high officials in politics in the USA right now who are breaking the law. They're not breaking the law to make their societies better. They're breaking the laws for their own advantages and those of the people that support them or that they want to support. It's not because they're, on the way to evolving as a culture. That's very, very different. Then every thief and murderer can argue he is serving humanity. You go to extremes. In the superorganism of Gaia, there is automatic consensus on the rules of society, and it occurs to no one to break them. One might as well say that Gaia vegetates and fossilizes. There is admittedly an element of disorder in free association, but that is the price one must pay for the ability to induce novelty and change. On the whole, it's reasonable. It's a reasonable price. Bliss's voice rose a notch. You are quite wrong if you think Gaia vegetates and fossilizes. Our deeds, our ways, our views are under constant self-examination. They do not persist out of inertia, beyond reason. Gaia learns by experience and thought, and therefore changes when that is necessary. And that's kind of why Gaia arranged to have Trevize as a character be part of the guidance of the future destiny of Gaia in this storyline, which could be not good at all for Gaia, or could be leading to Galaxia. So expanding what is really a well-functioning planetary paradise to galactic levels. And again, isolates like Trevize, and the 99, dare I say 100% of you, and of course parts of me as well, will never totally get away from that, is I wish I could partake more in a collective consciousness, but I also understand that even if I did, I'd still be an isolate, and it's hard for people to not think black and white here, even probably Isaac Asimov. Even if what you say is so, the self-examination and learning must be slow, because nothing but Gaia exists on Gaia. Here, in freedom, even when almost everyone agrees, there are bound to be a few who disagree, and in some cases, those few may be right. And if they are clever enough, enthusiastic enough, right enough, they will win out in the end and be heroes in future ages, like Isaac Asimov, like Harry Seldon, who perfected psychohistory, like Professor Marty, who came up with the grand unification theory called HSD. Now, I just put myself in there. And the reason that I did that is because I want to say that my theory predicts my theory will never be acknowledged. So it's too late. I was born at a time too late. Plus, I was born in proto-societies that weren't really well set up for the self-actualization of what would become not just a people primate, an Homo communia, but an Homo sapien. So it's already I'm using the word miracle here, but it's already a miracle that I have developed these human thinking tools to actually put the theory of sentience and sapience into practice in the way I live my life and interact, and come up with, my theory, for example. So, like Harry Seldon, who perfected psychohistory, pitted his own thoughts against the entire galactic empire and won. I will not win, but I want to put it on record that my theory would have been extremely useful if our species not only cared enough about itself to self-reflect and self-assess, but also that loved the concept of life, which was, because we're grounded to this planet only, related to the biosphere.